This is the Kohler 1004808 flush valve assembly kit. Now this kit is designed for the Kohler tank models 4447 and the 4608, which is a two-piece toilet. Now a couple of things that'll come with this kit. You've got your flush valve, of course, the tank to bowl gasket, the hexagonal flush valve nut, and this flat clear plastic washer. Couple things to notice about this flush valve is this is a 2-inch flush valve, which we'll get a couple dimensions on it here in just a couple seconds, but it'll include the flapper, the float, the metal chain, as well as this metal hook back here, and that's what's going to attach the flapper to the lever, which will lift that flapper, let the water come through and flush the toilet. And with the tank to bowl gasket, it's kind of odd looking. You've got these 3 little ears here. What you're going to do is just line up these ears with the holes in the tank, sink those bolts through, and it should be installed pretty quickly. So we'll go ahead and get a couple dimensions of each part here. Starting with the flush valve itself, we'll start with the height of that tube. Starting from the bottom all the way to the top, it's going to measure right at 8.5 inches. And then you also get an inner diameter, and it is a 2-inch, so it should measure right at 2 inches on that inner diameter. And yeah, as you can see right there, inner diameter is going to measure right at 2 inches. And then when measuring a flapper, it's usually best to just measure straight across the top. The 2-inch flappers will measure right at about 2.5 to 2 3/4 inches across the top. 3-inch flappers measuring right at about 3 3/4 or 3.5 across the top. So we're going to measure this one. Just make sure I can get it on camera here. As you can see right there, it's going to measure right at about 2 3/4 inches. And we're also going to get a couple dimensions of this tank to bowl gasket, but a little just kind of piece of information is with the new tank to bowl gaskets and the one you pull out, they're going to measure a little bit differently, just due to the fact that that old gasket has been installed and it's been in there and being compressed and kind of stretched out, so they will measure a little bit different. So starting with an outer diameter, I'm going to measure from right here just to where this ear starts. So if I kind of bend it down, so right here. Outer diameter, let me just scoot that back just a hair, try to bend this down a little bit. So it's going to measure right just shy of 3 3/4 inches. Then we can also get an inner diameter. That's going to measure right at about 2 1/4 inches. And then thickness, just measure from the flat side up to that beveled piece. And we're looking right at about 3/4 of an inch. And then last but not least, this little flush valve nut, we'll get some dimensions on it. Now this is a hexed nut, so it's got the 6 sides. So outer diameter of that nut, I'm going to measure right at just shy of 3 inches, so probably 2 7/8, somewhere in that range. And then we'll get a height of it. It's right at about 1/2 inch, or not 1/2 inch, I'm sorry, about 1/4 inch. And once again, this was the Kohler 1004808 flush valve assembly kit.